You know it's bad when the only reason this film exists is for the post-credit scene to get Scott Lang into the quantum realm so that he can show up in Avengers Endgame. That is the only reason why this movie exists. Everything else that happens in this movie is pretty freaking stupid. Ant-Man and the Wasp, released in 2018 and is directed by Peyton Reed, who has also directed such films like Bring It On, The Breakup, Yes Man, and Ant-Man. And he's going to be directing the new Ant-Man sequel that is coming out this weekend, Ant-Man Quantumania, and hopefully that movie has way more purpose than this movie does. And this movie is starring Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Pena, Walton Goggins, T.I. Harris, David Dastmalchian, Michelle Pfeiffer, Lawrence Fishburne, Hannah JOHN-KAMEN, and Michael Douglas. Scott Lang only has 3 days left before his house arrest order is lifted due to him helping out Captain America in Captain America Civil War. And since that time, he has been estranged from his former Ant-Man colleagues, Hope Van Dyne and Hank Pym. However, Scott starts reaching out to them once he starts having strange dreams where it seems like he is impersonating Janet Van Dyne, the original Wasp. Now, Hope and Hank kidnap Scott to get what is inside his head so that they can go down to the quantum realm and save Janet Van Dyne. Oh, but to make things complicated, there is this new superhero called Ghost who does quantum phasing, who keeps phasing in and out of this realm and the quantum realm, and everything hurts. As she keeps saying, everything hurts. I'm hurting all the time, and I only have weeks left because random reasons why. And then we have Bill Foster, who in the comics is known as Goliath, played by Lawrence Fishburne. He's here helping Ghost in stealing the lab that Hank and Hope are using to try to get to the quantum realm to save Janet, and it's very unnecessarily like heisty and evilly because all they had to do was go to Hank and be like, hey, I have this ghost person who's in a lot of pain, could you help us? And all he had to do was say, yes, we'll help you, and then all of the conflict in this movie would basically be erased. But because of reasons, and we need to have a climax, they don't. This plot is so frickin' stupid. Everything in this movie could have been avoided if communication would have been established. If Bill Foster would have gone to Hank Pym to say, hey, I have this little girl who I've been caring for the last 10 years or so, trying to help her, who keeps quantum phasing in and out. I need your help. It would have settled everything. But no, they need to do the evil thing, and Ghost needs to extract all of the quantum energy from Janet once they bring her back to help Ghost. Even though when Janet comes back, she's going to do that anyway for her, and it's not going to kill her to do that. So it's like, what are we fighting for? Why are we fighting each other here? We all want the same thing. We want you to feel better, and we want to get Janet back. Why can't we all just combine forces and help? Because Marvel and movie and needs villain and things. And Walter Goggins is definitely not a strong enough villain to carry this movie, that's for damn sure. This southern gentleman who shows up and appears here says he's working for someone who wants the identities of Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne and Hank Pym and wants the quantum lab because it's gonna sell for a lot of money. Did we ever find out who he's working for? I don't think we ever did. I'm sure we'll find out eventually in one of these movies. It's what Marvel does best. It ties everything together eventually. But you can tell the screenplay was rushed and they were just fast-tracking this to get out before Avengers Endgame. All because we have a movie and the audience can see a reason why Scott Lang ended up in the quantum realm and why he came back, and that's when, you know, time changes differently. It was 5 hours for him, but 5 years for everyone else. We get it. Reasons. That's why this movie exists. But for a movie to exist only for that post-credit scene, that's not good. That is not a good reason. Post-credit scenes are awesome. I love post-credit scenes. How they tie in this movie that we're watching to the next one, and we're getting a little tease for that next movie. I love shit like that. That is awesome. But we need to have a good, solid plot in the main meat of this 2-hour movie first, before we get to the awesome post-credit scene. This was absolutely flipped. I guarantee you what was written first was that post-credit scene, and the whole rest of this movie followed. That was kind of like the first or second draft of a generic story that we had, and then they went right into filming. Guarantee that's what happened. But thank God Paul Rudd is here, because again, he is a delight in these movies. He is very charming. He has a ton of energy that I love seeing on screen. When he's on screen, you just fall in love with him. And Evangeline Lilly finally gets put into the Wasp suit, really fixing the big plot hole in Ant-Man of why didn't Hope just put on the Ant-Man suit and do Ant-Man things? Why did we need Scott Lang to do all this stuff in the original Ant-Man movie? Wouldn't that have just complicated it? Why didn't you just do this originally? Here she is Wasp, she's in the title of this movie, thank God, because she definitely deserves it. And I like her character more in this movie. She's not so much of a person with a stick up her butt. She's badass, and she's definitely more likable. She's not constantly complaining, and she's not constantly angry in this movie. Michael Douglas's Hank Pym, though, he's a son of a bitch. He's just cranky. He's a cranky old man. He's constantly just bashing and ripping on everyone. I'm like, dude, okay, chill out, sit in your lazy boy, and just let the younger people do the things, okay? Because you're being an asshole. And it is really cool to see Michelle Pfeiffer in this film, in the MCU. How freaking cool is that? The last time she did superhero stuff was back in Batman Returns, where she was an awesome Catwoman. However, I do believe, and maybe we'll see it in Quantumania, I hope we do, because there are hints in here that Janet Van Dyne probably was going to be the villain of this movie. There are beats, there are lines in here that Janet says that are just staples of villain things in other movies. Like, if a villain is not yet a villain in the movie, or is not revealed to be the villain, they will say lines like, "This place, it changes you. You go in as one person, and it just affects your mind. When you leave, you're not the same person that you were when you entered." That is a very villainous thing to say in here. And you just have the feeling while watching this that in the first couple of drafts of this movie, that when Janet came back to the real world, she was going to turn out to be the villain in some way, shape, or form. But no, they settle for the happy-go-lucky, oh, hey, I have my quantum powers in my fingers and I will heal you, ghost. See, now you're fine. You don't have to extract anything from me because I can just give it to you willingly. And we're both alive and fine now. That's what I'm saying. It feels like there should have been a moment where she comes back and she goes to help her and then she kills Ghost and then's like, yeah, I'm back here and I'm gonna bring some crazy forces with me from the quantum realm and we're gonna take over this place. I really hope we get something like that in Quantumania to bring it full circle, but that hasn't happened yet. The movie hasn't been released, so I'm just going off of this movie and it's just a mess. The plot lines are all over the place. The only thing that saves this movie is Paul Rudd. He has so much charm in this movie that you can't help but go like, okay, he's on screen, it's entertaining, fine. But the movie just loses track of itself. Things that were established in the first Ant-Man are just totally undone in here. Like, in the first Ant-Man, they talked about how you needed to have the helmet on or else you'll have some type of weird quantum sickness and it's affecting your mind when you shrink down or when you change your size. Well, here, Paul Rudd, he gets shrunk, not too small, but, you know, a little bit, and then he grows a little bit, and his helmet completely comes off, but he's totally fine. So what was that thing? What was the thing that the evil guy from the first movie, apparently that was affecting his brain chemistry and made him evil, so why isn't that making Paul Rudd, Scott Lang evil in this movie? Again, this movie was fast-tracked. We didn't care. We just needed a movie here in between Infinity War and Endgame. That's why this movie exists. The nice thing about Marvel, though, is that their lowest graded shit that they put out is still entertaining and still enjoyable. Like, I watched this movie and I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. It sound like my parents. I'm just disappointed in you, Ant-Man and the Wasp, because you could have been something, but you just settled for mediocrity, and it's just disappointing. I'm gonna give Ant-Man and the Wasp 1.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
No, sir, I didn't like it.
So guys, have you seen Ant-Man and the Wasp? What did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.